Someone asked the question, should I freeze my personal credit before I start applying for business credit? Now, here's the thing about it. The question that I want to ask you is why? Why would you want to do that? And the reason I'm going to tell you that, because some people are like, well, I don't want a hard inquiry on my credit file. Well, here's the thing about it. You freeze your credit file, okay, when you applying for credit, for business credit card. 90% of the lenders, they do a soft pull on the credit file, personal credit. So you're not getting a hard inquiry. Now, there are lenders, yes, that will do a hard inquiry, okay? But here's another thing you have to understand. When you put that credit freeze on your credit file, all right, now you're subject to these other alternative lenders that you're going to either have to have a high volume of revenue or you're going to have to be in business for a very long time, okay? So in terms of trying to get business with your EIN, yes, it is possible, especially business credit cards and business loans. There's no problem with that. But understanding that when you put a freeze on your credit, the thing about it, you're forcing yourself to go to lenders that's going to offer you a higher interest rate. All right. So you won't get market interest rates or 0% interest rates. All right. Now, in terms of what type of loans. Now, that being said, the next thing is which credit bureaus would you freeze? Well, there's actually 5 major credit bureaus. Okay. When you're talking about business credit, there's actually more, but we're going to focus on 5 of them. All right. Now, here's that 5 so you understand. You have Experian, Equifax, Dun & Bradstreet. And I'm going to come back to them because this is very important. All right. Then you have Small Business Financial Exchange. Okay. This here is a key player that most people don't even know about. This is your key player. Then you have LexisNexis. LexisNexis? I thought they were personal. No. They're for personal and business. As a matter of fact, these 3, these here 4, these here 3 here, okay, they get their information from LexisNexis, Small Business Financial Exchange. All right, so that you understand that. Now, yes, they do have their own databases, plus they own third-party companies as well. But especially with this guy here, he siphons his information from this guy, okay? Other creditors reporting and things of that nature. That being said, going back to the why, when you freeze your credit report, okay, you're putting yourself at more this exposure of higher interest rates, okay? So if you're okay with paying higher interest rates, then freeze your credit report, all right? Now, here's another thing. In terms of when you building business credit, you're going for EIN, does the bank matter? Okay, well, here's the thing about it. I know some people said, well, this person said I had a 680 and I can go to this bank. Well, did you have a relationship with that bank? This is so important, people, especially in our climate now. This here word, relationship, all right? This is what most people, they assume they can just go to a bank and they can get $25, $30, $50,000 credit cards and stuff, and they don't have a relationship, right? They don't have a relationship. Then also more likely, they say, well, I got an aged corporation. I got a 2-3 year corporation. But again, if you don't have a relationship, if you don't have bank statements, if you don't have taxes, what makes you think they're going to give you that kind of money? Especially if you don't froze your credit and they don't know what's on the file. How are you going to get the money, Willis? That's the reality of it. So a lot of these people, they're thinking, but they're not properly thinking out the method in terms of what people are saying. That people are saying actual facts. Yes, you can go to a bank. Yes, with a 680 credit score, yes, they will give you funding. All right. Now, with a new account, absolutely. Now, here's the thing about it so you understand this. This is very important. Not only the relationship, what's the revenue? So if you're going into a bank and you have your credit file locked, you ain't got no revenue in the business, how are they going to determine how much they're wanting to give you? How are they going to figure that out? This is the ignorance that's going on that people are not really thinking about. Like I said, a lot of people, they do have success with a new company getting credit cards and stuff like that. That's the reason I tell people to stay away from loans. The reason you stay away from loans because it's too much red tape. That's the reason you start out with a credit card. Then you move up to a line of credit. Okay? You do not necessarily have to go for them. So this is why so many people, they're like, well, they wasn't lying. You wasn't properly listening. Okay? It always says the devil is in the details. If you're not properly listening, then you're going to miss something because you're just scrolling and skimming through it. Okay, get to the good part. But you're missing the details of what they're saying. So when you miss the details, then you miss the whole point, and then you go to a bank because you assume you got a 680 credit score and you thinking that you're going to go get $50,000. And they turn you around. And also, you don't even know what that institution, what credit bureau that institution is pulling from either, right? That's another thing. So you don't know if they're going to be pulling your FICO 8, FICO 9, Vantage 3, Vantage 4, Mortgage 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't know that. You don't know that, right? Or you don't know if they're going to go Sage Street, right? You don't know if they're going to even look at your check systems. You see what I mean? You see, this is what I mean about the devil is in the details. So, assuming that, yes, you can freeze your credit report and apply for business credit cards. But again, in terms of when you expecting to get funding from traditional lenders, you're locking yourself out of the market. And you're prone, and again, you're putting yourself in a position where you're going to end up getting access to some funding, not maximum funding, because if you have no revenue, and you have a brand new business, how are they going to do it? How are they going to do it? They're going to pull it out of the air? It's magic? No. You have to think about this logically, people. This is why I continue to tell y'all. Now, in terms of after you lock your credit file, who's your relationship with? What banks are you having a relationship with? And how long have you had that relationship? Those are things that matter. Those are the things that's really triggering. You want an EIN card? Well, you know that your traditional bank, they may use a FICO 8 scoring, right? But you done locked up your file, so they can't give you funding. This is what I'm saying, people. You have to think about this. Just think about this for a minute. Yes, like I said, yes, just with your EIN, absolutely. But in terms of using your EIN to get funding, you're going to have high revenue, right? What about this in business? Usually with this type of list, they want you to be in business at least 6 months for a lot of them, okay? I'm going to tell you some of the lenders, right? You want EIN? You'll get EIN. But you're going to have high revenue. And if you're a new business, just barely starting up, where's the revenue coming from? You're going to make it up? Oh, I projected or whatever. Okay. But they're not going to look at projected. You know what they're going to look at? Your bank account. They're going to use either Plaid or Decision Logic. They're going to look at your bank account. So whatever you put on that application, where I make XYZ or whatever, they're going to check it out. And if it's not that, and by the way, you could be creating fraud too. because they're also going to want, again, 4506T business access. This is what I mean about the game. There's a lot of people out here, they're saying this and saying that or whatever, but the devil is in the details. They're not explaining it to you. They're not explaining the game to you. All right? So, as a matter of fact, a lot of them don't even know about this. They never even heard of it. Community Development Financial Institutes. These are the type of institutes where they go into communities that are underserved, that aren't able to get approved for traditional business funding and stuff. They go here because they lower their criterias. There's a difference in the game. All right? There's a difference in the game. Now, that's just one part of it. Now, adding to what I just shared with you, here's something else. You trying to do EIN only? All right. Then let me ask you this. What about these? Basically, how many of those do you have on your credit file? How many of those do you have on your credit file? Do you know which ones are reported? Right? That's the thing about it. Do you know who they're reporting to? You see what I mean? This is what I mean about misinformation or not enough information or only getting bits and pieces and not listening to the whole story or listen to the whole plan. You know, this is what I say. Devil is in the details. Because now you realize like, oh, I didn't know about that. Oh, I didn't have enough of those. How many do you need? Depends on the account, how old the company is. So the age, revenue, that's what makes a difference in your business. If you're trying to go EIN, age and revenue, right? Oh, forgot about this one. Yes, this still does matter when you trying to get EIN only funding. That still matters. So if you still have a high risk NAICS code, again, it's still going to put you in the same situation where it's going to make it more challenging. I did not say impossible, but I said it's going to make it more challenging. You see what I mean? This is the game that people aren't saying to you. Yes, again, you can get funding with your EIN, absolutely. But in terms of when you decide, hey, I'm going to freeze my credit report, thinking you finna backdoor something, you're only squeezing yourself out of the door. You're just squeezing yourself out of the door, right? So that's the reason that I'm telling you that. Now, let's talk about the type of cards that will approve you, okay? So you have three type of cards that's going to approve you. You have your charge. Maybe I should say two. Charge. And then you have your, no, it's three. Okay. But you have a charge card, which also it'll give it to you on the net terms, right? Net 60, right? We're going to talk about those. And then you also have your secured. So you want, oh yeah, you do have your, gas cards. You want EIN only? There you go. There's nothing secured. Unsecured. Your charge card is unsecured, but you have to pay it in a certain amount of time. So then you have your gas cards. So like with your gas cards, say that you start now, you have a A to B. You have a Shell. You have a WEX. Right? Those are your gas cards. Then with your secured cards, you have BOFA. You have First National Bank of Omaha. Those are your secured cards. So you put money up front on those. And again, like I said, because you froze your credit file, even though it's going to be EIN, they still may not allow you to get approved for it. Now, you talk about your net 60s. So with your next 60 cards, you have Amex Plum. 50s, 60s, you have your Amex Plum, okay? Then you have your Amazon, right? Your Amazon net, right? Most of the time with your Amazon net, they want you to be in business for at least 6 months or more, right? EIN only. So that's the thing about it, people. They're saying things, and yes, many of them are just regurgitating stuff. They're not actually investigating to make sure it's accurate information. But at the same time, those that do have credibility, they are correct. They're just not giving you all the information. That's the reason they don't give you all the information, because they want you to come to them. Let's figure it out together. Because somewhere down the line, you're going to lose money. I never seen a business that did not lose money. Any business, any startup business or whatever, it's a learning curve. It's not that you want to lose money. It's that it's a learning curve. Yes, can you learn off of other people's mistakes so you won't lose money? Yeah, but somewhere down the line, you're going to lose money. Trust me. All right? Then, what do you have? So you have your charge cards, right? So, it's your charge card going back to revenue. Now, in terms of charge cards that you don't need revenue, you don't need a hard pull on the credit, you don't have to put any money down on the card, all right? You don't need credit. So that one is NAV, okay? NAV, and it'll give you 2 trade lines. It'll give you 2 trade lines, but you have to sign up for their credit reporting program and then apply for the business card. But the problem with most people, when they apply for this NAV card, they don't use it. So how are they going to report data on your business? How are they going to report data on your business if you don't use the card? You see what I mean? So people will make the mistake, and an institution will give them, starting out, maybe $5 on a business card, unsecured. You know what people do? They'll put it in a sock drawer. They won't even use it. So you came to me asking me to trust you with my money. You have bad credit and you want me to trust you with my money. Okay, I'll give you something. Here's $500. Let's see how long it's going to take you. They don't even use it. Oh, I can't do nothing with that. But you're not building a relationship. You're not building a credit data reporting system, right? So that's the reason it makes it harder and harder for people, right? Because they're not getting all the information. Now, in reference to, with the exception of NAV, you have RAMP, Rex, high revenue. You have to have high revenue, all right? Now, again, you have, Bill, aka Divvy. They still want to hook up to Plaid, and they want to see if you have deposits going in, right? Now, here's the thing about them. They'll give you either 1 week, 2 weeks, or 30 days, all right? So if you decide you want a charge card with 30 days, you have to pay it more. They'll give you a lower limit and more, but if you choose the 1 week, they'll give you a higher limit. That's how Divvy operates. Then you have Tap on Tap. Again, this is a revolving account, but they definitely want to see if you have revenue coming into the business. Now, what you have in revenue coming into the business, here's the thing about it. Once they verify the bank account information, if it's not sufficient enough, they're going to do your taxes, and they're going to want you to send over invoices, not bank statement, invoices. And if you can't provide that, they shut your card down. Now, guess what? Here's a quarter because you played yourself, right? So that's the reason that you want that. Now, again, most people, they're looking for a shortcut. Any way I can. Stop focusing on the inquiries. I'll tell you something. If it's mainly about inquiries, then what you want to do, but if you have inquiries from applying for a business credit card or a business line of credit, and it's on your personal credit file, you can challenge that because it's your personal credit file. It's separated from your business credit file, so it's not related. But here's something else that a lot of people are not telling you. You know, I'm always talking about like your business name, right? Well, here's the thing about it. The way you spell your business name, the way it is on your EIN number, it has to be the same way on the Secretary of State, right? And the reason is, so you may have street, right? Then you have street, which this here is sweet. It ain't even street, it's sweet, right? But some people, street, you'll know what that is. But this here, you're assuming that's street, but it's not sweet. That's what makes the difference. You having these here two confused on your business credit file when you put in the application and it's not matching the EIN, that can get you denied. Or here's something else. You may have J and B, comma, LLC. Guess what? You can get denied because of that. Any type of punctuation and stuff like that in between the business name, that can give you a red flag and make it challenging as well. Or this here, virtual office. Why? It was like, well, they didn't approve me. Why? Okay. The reason with the virtual office, the challenge with the virtual office is these days, a lot of lenders are starting to deny people funding because of the virtual office, because of the address. Now, you may have went and got that virtual office. However, somebody before you may have gotten that virtual office as well, used the address prior to you. And they may have gotten credit cards, right? So they may have gotten credit cards with that virtual office, business credit card, but they didn't pay them back. So that address is red flag. You didn't have nothing to do with it. So people are not even explaining that part to you. They're not explaining that part to you. So sometimes, like, when you're applying for credit and stuff like that, and you're wondering, like, well, why is it taking them so long? Because that virtual office may be in their database already with somebody already defrauding them, right? So now they have to verify all this other information to see if it's you before they decide if they want to give you their card or line of credit. Again, this is stuff that people don't explain to you, right? So you sitting up there mad, jaws puffed all out, oh, they lied to me or whatever. They didn't lie to you. They just didn't give you that added information. And the more likely, the reason they didn't give you that added information because they don't know it. If they don't know it, how are they going to tell you? They can only tell you what they assume they know, but not experienced or not investigated themselves. That's the problem. They'll tell you something, yeah, it sounds good or whatever, but if it's not accurate information, it's because, yes, they told you some information, but they themselves can only tell you what they know. So they didn't go the distance to understand it, right? So I just wanted to clarify in terms of, yes, you can freeze your credit report, and yes, you can get accounts with your EIN. You could. Absolutely. But again, just keep in mind, by you freezing your credit report, what you end up doing, you're pushing yourself in a different market, a different pool of lenders. And these pool of lenders, they want you to have revenue, high revenue, or you're going to have history, or you're going to have to make sure you have enough trade lines on the credit file in order for them to approve you. So that's the things they're not telling you. So if you have any question about business credit funding, personal credit funding, removing negative items off the credit, click the link in the description. Schedule a one-on-one consultation. Thank you.